You're listening to the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast, and I'm Lou Temlett. I'm guessing you're having a good day because either you've been on the mats, considering getting on the mats, or maybe taking a break because you've just been promoted to blue belt. I'm so happy you're here listening or watching this episode. Please don't tap out before the end. When you want to continue learning Jiu Jitsu, keep showing up. This episode today is with me reflecting on being promoted to blue belt, a little bit about my kind of competition and my open mats that I've been attending, the challenges of being a parent over the summer and training jiu-jitsu, and just life in general. So expect just a little bit of me this episode. I don't really have a strict plan, but I want to talk about my experience. But before I do that, I'd love to invite you to my open mat Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast 1 year anniversary of the podcast, which is happening on Sunday, the 8th of September at Rising Tide Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in Weston-super-Mare in Wall. It's from 12 until 3 on the Sunday. Please go over to jujitsulu.com and register for your space. Drop me a DM. It would be fantastic to see you there. Okay, so since being promoted to my blue belt and mentioning it on the last episode of the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast with Laura, I didn't realise actually how excited I was at receiving my blue belt. But no buts, it's been an interesting journey. In the UK, we're having summer holidays. This last week has been nice weather, but we've had, I'm a single parent. I have my 2 children. They're in clubs, out of clubs. We're trying to juggle all the things. But I was very fortunate to go along to HerFightNetwork Interclub, which happened a couple of Saturdays ago. And I was matched with another blue belt. So within the first week of being promoted to a blue belt, I have an interclub match. The experience was fantastic, having around 50 women competitors in the gym already and kind of, getting their game together, or already having their game together, and just experiencing the positive energy and the supportive nature of all the women in that gym. It was just absolutely fantastic. So I went up to Woolwich in London, and whilst it was a challenge getting there, it was absolutely worthwhile. So spent the whole afternoon and early part of the evening with all these incredible women. So many shout outs, but I'd like to thank Mills, who I've had on my podcast, and Katie, who were both the organisers of HerFightNetwork Interclub. And it was an incredible experience, one that I would recommend to anyone that hasn't yet competed or might be thinking about competing in a low pressure environment. But I will say, it was a low-pressure environment until Katie wandered over to me, maybe I thought an hour or so before my match, and said, "You're on after the next match," which was within about 10 minutes. My heart started racing, my mouth was dry, I was in an absolute mess, panicking and going, "Oh my goodness me, I'm not mentally ready. Someone's now thrown this at me and I have to go on the mats and compete right now." Anyway, I got myself ready. One of my fellow blue belts had a stack of Jaffa cakes. She said it would be amazing just to have a couple of Jaffa cakes, because apparently nutritionally it gives you the kind of hit you need and the kind of longevity that you need to get through your match. Anyway, I was grateful to have one. I was way too nervous to have anything else and just down my water with my electrolytes. But then standing at the side of the mat and Katie coming over and telling me that actually I wasn't going to be next. I had a few more matches. So I was able to lower my heart rate, calm myself down and actually become prepared for this match. Now, as you know, in my intro, I say, please don't tap out before the end. Now, this is my life lesson. I'm not tapping out before the end for anyone. And I've always got that in my mind. I want to get through a match or a round without needing to tap. That's exactly what I did. And I had a fair match. Admittedly, I was on the bottom for a lot of it, but I was able to grab some footage that made me look like I was on top for a good percentage of the mats. But as we know, Instagram and photo life is not real life. So I'm here. I was on the bottom, but I didn't tap. Anyway, I gave it my all. I tried to make it interesting for everyone watching, because when you're on the mat in a competition, for me, it's not just about me and my opponent. It's about the show or the entertainment that you're actually, giving other people. Now, this might not be everyone's mindset and thinking, but I'm a dancer. And when I dance, I like to be able to be in my zone, dance as if nobody's watching, but knowing everybody might be watching. And that's kind of the fun bit of it. Whilst I don't give a stuff what I look like, it's about moving and making the match as active as possible. And actually, after my match, I was complimented by some of the higher ranked women saying normally blue belt matches are quite boring, but this one was quite an interesting one. So I was grateful for that, and to be able to get through without tapping out. It was just a fantastic experience. So once again, if you haven't been involved with an interclub, go and search up Interclub on Instagram, wherever you are in your local area, and go and join one, whether you're male or female or just want to have an interclub match with other individuals. It's really good fun and such a warm sense of pride and accomplishment, actually, to get through that whole session and then feel like you still want to have another match. But don't tell Katie that, because she did ask me if I wanted another match, and I refused at that point. I felt like going out on a high or a medium level was the best thing for me to do on that day. But would I get involved with an interclub again? Would I put myself in for a competition as a new blue belt? 100%. A week in, it doesn't matter when you attempt to compete, but going in as a blue belt is kind of fun. You've got nothing to lose. If you've got to blue belt, you've gone through a number of kind of experiences. For me, I don't know, I feel like I've gone through lots of things. I've had a broken bone. I've healed from that, various other things probably, but we're still here and we're still training. So please continue to train, continue to show up if you're a blue belt, because all the memes say blue belts skip out. And that's their job done. But just keep training if you're getting there. And if you're a white belt, please continue to keep training, keep showing up, keep doing what you're doing, because it's great and it will give you fulfillment and growth, mindset and body and strength and all those amazing things until we're in our much later years of life. So that was the Saturday. The Sunday, I was... being an over 40, I joined the over 40 Southwest Open Mat seminar, where Bryn Jenkins taught us how to smash pass, which was quite exciting. A much different environment, and just really focusing on the small techniques, the pressure, the joints, all of those things in terms of jiu-jitsu, which was actually quite fun. And I had some fantastic rolls. You know who you are. It was just great fun. And showing up and just going for it. I think I had that kind of fight mentality from the previous day, because I'd hot-footed from London to Cardiff for this open mat, got there just in time, and, you're on a roll. Keep going, keep showing up. But it was a fantastic weekend of jiu-jitsu. However, it has been the summer holidays. I have taken time out Logistical reasons, the children have been in sports camps or other activity camps. I've had an absolute stack of work on dealing with lots of clients and lots of kind of amazing podcast opportunities and developments. So admittedly, I haven't been training as much as I could. Also, the very small logistical issue of my washing machine breaking down. It should be arriving a bit later, so I will be out training tonight. It's a Thursday. I cannot wait to get back on the mats and also then know that I can come home and wash all my kit rather than schlepping down to the laundrette immediately and getting it done, or avoiding training so I don't have to do the washing. Anyway, that's kind of me. I want to, being Thursday and it's the 15th of August, it's A-Levels Day. And I know a lot of people will have had their A-level results today and will either be feeling great because they're going on to university or their, ideal job role or experience, or they might be feeling really downhearted because they've not got the grades that they think they needed or they whatever. Anyway, like all good stories, we all have one. I didn't get the grades that I wanted at A-level, and I was looking at joining the army. I was looking at doing all sorts of other things, much more vocational things rather than media and tech and kind of the development and kind of business industry. But actually, all of these concepts and thoughts are in our head in terms of feeling inadequate, feeling like we're not going to get somewhere. But actually, the reality can be very different. I was able to go on to university and kind of pursue my place. But one of the things, if you have got your A-level results, you are going to university, start training jiu-jitsu. I joined lots of different clubs when I was at university, and I'm sure some of you that have been through college or university may have done exactly the same. But it gives you a lot of time to be able to grow and develop yourself, A, academically, B, socially and personally, if you're living in shared accommodation, and also to grow your network. You'll start to build the friends and relationships that will probably last you years and years, even if you're not in touch with them on a regular basis. But there's time to train Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And I know I have a number of students that listen to this episode. Hello to you all. Thank you for listening. Make the most of your training time, because when you progress through life and you gather responsibilities like housing, like children, like work, and all of those things, you may not have quite the amount of time that you do today. Make the most of it. Get on those mats. Annoy the hell out of the rest of us because you're probably stronger and more determined, or as determined as the rest of us, but enjoy the time that you have. Make the most of your spare time. And I think anyone that is over the age of kind of late teenage, early kind of student years, we take the opportunity to train in our spare time as much as we can or as much as we want to. But I want to reflect on taking time out, feeling like you don't want to train, and just dealing with some of the reality of life that makes you feel like, what's the point? And I think this is, quite heartfelt from me. Things do feel difficult sometimes, but actually being able to take yourself out of life and go and train something like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. We've heard so many amazing stories of improving mental health, improving physical health and strength, and being part of a community. There are so many reasons why all of us started training jiu-jitsu. Seek those original reasons. Remember how good it was and has been on great days training. Now, I want to also reflect, because I had such a great weekend at HerFightNetwork Interclub on the Saturday and the Over 40 seminar on the Sunday. For me, I reflected on my dancing days, where if I had a really great couple of dances, I'd then leave the dance floor knowing I had a great dance, and not then wanting to dance for a while. And it feels the same with jiu-jitsu. I don't want to spoil that amazing experience of having such a great role or such a great kind of match or fight. But all of these experiences come with their ups and they come with their downs. And to keep progressing, we have to deal with all of those things, whether they're really great or really terrible, or you walk off the mats with a broken bone or a torn ligament or something else. It's about keeping showing up with all of those challenges, knowing that if you had a bad roll today, then it might be better tomorrow. But if you had a great roll today, well, it might be not so great tomorrow, or it might be even better. But keep showing up. I'm kind of coaching and therapizing myself right now to get back on the mats. All of the stars are aligning. I'm still waiting for the washing machine to be delivered, by the way, and a knock at the door. But when that washing machine is in, I know that I can go and get my kit washed really easily rather than kind of dashing out or not training. This is the Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. Go and check out the latest video clips over on jiu.jitsu.lu. And as you're listening or watching on your favourite podcast platform, I'd really appreciate you dropping the show a rating and a review. Okay, I know what I was coming back to now. I put a shout out on my Instagram stories asking for your questions that I could kind of answer throughout an episode. And one of the questions that came up actually was asked to me in person, was from a male team member of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And at Open Mats, he was unsure whether it was acceptable to go and ask a female to roll with him. Now, again, I'm going to relate this back to dancing. It's having that confidence, being able to ask, accepting the fact that you may be rejected. Someone may say no, but they also may say yes. So if you don't ask, you're never going to know. So ask, know your own boundaries in terms of whether that person is kind of weight matched, height matched with you, but also knowing how safe you might feel. Certainly when I've been on the dance floor, I will observe other leads, men or women that lead dances, how they lead other people on the dance floor. And this is the same at an open mat. I will observe how other team members are operating with different people and whether I feel safe to train with them or to roll with them, or whether they might look a little bit unsteady, a bit too fierce, a bit too vibey. But at the end of the day, it's down to you as an individual to know what you want out of that role, to be able to communicate that. And if you have to say, actually, you need to kind of go quite light today, I'm not feeling it, but I'd love to be able to roll with you, then it's about communication. And I know on the mat, most of us don't talk. We're quite quiet in our rolling. I'm not so. So if you've rolled with me, I tend to know where I'm failing or where my faults are, or the fact that I've put myself back in that same vulnerable position for an armbar, and I'll just kind of give myself a hard time and laugh it off. But most of us are quite quiet. And I think for me, it's about communicating how I'm feeling on the day, but also observing how those other individuals are. We want to stay safe. We want to feel like it's a great experience, but you can't do that unless you communicate with each other. It's not just that physical communication, knowing that someone's going to pull an armbar on you and you still got to drive the kids home that day. You know, it's about that communication. So if you're a man or a woman and you want to ask someone else to roll at an open mat, do. You know, you can maybe express that you'll kind of go light, or, you know, you're up for a kind of tough roll, but get to know your community. You know, find out their names, speak to them regularly, build a network and a community of people around you. We're all in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu because we love Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So that's one of the questions. One of the other questions that I was asked was, what's been my biggest challenge with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu? Now, my mindset is not so much about the challenges I face, it's what experiences I can step through and have a go at. You know, if I'd been told that I would break my finger and be in pain and have injuries and lots of bruises, would I have taken on training Brazilian Jiu Jitsu? Maybe not. But actually, I love the opportunity to try something new. So for me, I haven't felt many challenges. If there's something I want to do, whether it's going to compete or whether it's going to travel and train Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, I will do it. You know, it's having that mindset to just go and do what you want to do when you want to do it. And obviously there might be logistical issues, financial barriers, all sorts of other things. But I think for me, it hasn't felt like there have been any challenges. However, okay, I'm laughing because this feels quite awkward. I am super heavy, and actually I know one of the challenges for me is being able to do inversion techniques, to do those kind of moves that mean my limbs need to be folded in half. And whilst my joints are quite flexible, there's a lot of me, and it's not always easy. So I'd say my size is one of those barriers and challenges for me. But I'm here for the long term. This is not going to shift overnight. You know, I've lost and gained weight in very quick succession throughout my life. I know how to do it if I wanted to do it. But for me, it's like learning Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I'm in it for the long game. This is going to take weeks, years, decades to change my physical thing. And I'm okay with that. You know, I can roll over backwards. I can do the warm up without getting out of breath and still chat. I'm okay. And I'd like to be able to progress that a bit further. So I would say my size is one of my biggest challenges. And also, looking at some of my photos, we do judge ourselves so much, but oh my goodness me. I started off with a large gi and large pants. I still have large gi and large pants. I've probably lost about 10 kilos in the year and a half, 2 years I've been training Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. But I still look like a sack of spuds. So maybe one of my challenges is actually finding the right size gi that fits me and I look as great as all those other women. Anyway, that's me judging myself. I don't really feel like there are any challenges. If I want to train jiu-jitsu, I will train jiu-jitsu. What's the best bits? The best bit's just finding a community of women that I never thought I would find in my social or work career. It's been incredible. I just want to shout out to all of you how supportive you've been, and just knowing that we're all alongside each other, we're all progressing, we're all taking one more step, one more day on the mats, which is fantastic. Yeah, just having the opportunity to roll with so many of you. And if you become a guest on my show, I would love for you to drop me a DM and come and join the show. I'd love to meet you in person. I'd love to have a roll with you. I'm probably not evenly matched with any of you, so a kind of legitimate match may never happen, but an open mat will. Let me know where you train. I will come and visit. Actually, I'm looking for somewhere to train this weekend. So if you have any open mats this weekend, drop me a line. I'd love to jump in the car and visit. I can't promise you that I'm going to jump on a plane and travel across borders and oceans this weekend, but who knows? Who knows? The most difficult thing, I don't know. I just don't see life as being that difficult. I don't have that mindset. Even when I got my finger broken, had my whatever, I got in the car, drove myself to A&E, dealt with it, strapped it with an amazing digit tape from Matt Garner, who is also one of my guests on the show. And I looked after it. And then I started training. And then I had a match and then an open mat. But it's just being able to look after myself, knowing that very soon, if I have an injury, I can get back on the mats. It's not being taken away from me. Yeah, I think that's about it. I really enjoy still training. I'm looking forward to getting back on the mats. As I've mentioned before, I do have my open mat. Like when I started this podcast nearly a year ago, it took me some time, but it also took me some time to kind of build my website, build in my merchandise store, everything else. But actually, there's a bit of that imposter syndrome that feels like, why should I have an open mat? Why should I be able to do these things? But of course I can, and I'm going to, and I'd love you to be there Sunday, the 8th of September at Rising Tide Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in Weston-super-Mare. If you're based in the Southwest or you're anywhere else, I'd love you to join. Do drop me a DM. Do register on the website, jujitsulu.com. And who knows? I haven't quite worked out the schedule and whatever else, but 12 until 3, come and have some time on the open mat. Come and chat, come and network with other people, get to know their names, get to know different people, follow them on Instagram, connect, and just have a great time. That's all from me, episode 41. Thank you very much for listening. I'm still waiting for the washing machine to be delivered, but it will be here soon. Anyway, that's enough about me and my washing machine. As long as it's got a good spin, I don't mind. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for telling your friends about this show. And as soon as this episode ends, I'd really appreciate you dropping the show a rating and a review. And remember, don't tap out before the end. Lots of love. Speak to you soon.